When I saw this, you know how I felt? Let me tell you how I felt when I saw this. My mind was blown. So I just took that hellfire straight to the face because I just could not believe that I saw this guy, 59 years old, graduating Army boot camp. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about none other than Monty Gould, 59-year-old man who recently went to Army boot camp. And I've got a video here that we're going to share and enjoy together. So let me pull that up and let me get my screen set up here. Without further ado, let's check out the AARP's video of the oldest person to graduate Army boot camp.
You understand? Yes, Drill Sergeant. There you go.
Nobody ever goes through basic training and thinks to themselves,
holy smokes. So we're seeing this guy for the first time here, and he is an old man. One cool thing is that he's a staff sergeant, which means he was, obviously prior service, but he is going to retain some of his rank by joining back into the military, which is pretty common, or when you cross branches. But sometimes when you go from one branch to the next, you do lose a little bit of rank.
nobody ever goes through basic training and thinks to themselves, oh, I want to repeat that.
Off the ground.
That's true.
I figured my Marine Corps boot camp that I went through in 1978 was sufficient.
So this guy was a Marine in 1978, which is post-Vietnam, but he could have, I don't know how long he served in the Marine Corps, but he could have been in Desert Storm or deployed to like Bosnia or something like that in the 90s. So let's see what he did in the Marine Corps and why he ended up where he is today. But think about that though, 1978, that was 42 years ago. So the last time this guy went to boot camp was 42. I'm not even 42 years old. This guy went to boot camp for the first time and the second time further apart than I am years old. That is out of control.
I was unaware that I was going to have to go back for basic training. Picture yourself, a 59-year-old man, being thrust into a situation by which you have to be with 17 to 19-year-olds for 3 months. Words are pretty cheap. You don't sit around and talk about what you can do. You show people what you can do.
Look, first of all, if you're 18 years old and you're in boot camp with the guy who's 59, you better not make any excuses for how hard it is physically. You better not make one complaint, one excuse, one crybaby comment. Like, there is nothing you can say to this guy who's damn near 60 years old doing the same stuff you are. Or was he? Arizona.
In 1978, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps for 3 years. Got out and got into law enforcement. And then Desert Storm broke out and I went back into the military, hoping to get into combat operations. I've been deployed to Afghanistan, Kuwait, Asia. I was in the infantry and I joined the National Guard up to about 2009. And then I exited service. Today, I wanted to go back for 4 different reasons. One was because my son is in the Army Reserve near my home.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I see what's going on here. This guy had a crazy relationship with the military. He got in, got out, became a cop, went back in for Desert Storm, got out. He just wanted to be there for the good stuff. He just wanted to be there for the good stuff and not the BS. He had other things to do. He wanted to serve his country, but when he wasn't, deploying, if nothing was that was going on, he got out. You know what? I can respect that. And then he raises a kid, and then that kid joins the Army. All right, I'm on board here, I think.
The ability to serve with my son, which very few people get an opportunity to do. That was a biggie. Then the next one was...
By the way, I saw the greatest duffel blog article of all time, where it was a picture of a guy from 2003 in Iraq and doing an interview, and he said, "We're here now, so our sons and daughters don't have to be." And then the headline was, "Sergeant Major embarrassed after this comment when son checks into command preparing for Afghanistan deployment." And I was like, it's so true. We've been now post 9/11 generation. You could have been born on September 11th. You could have been born before, I'm sorry, wait, what am I saying? You could have been born after 9/11, 2001 and be in Afghanistan or Iraq right now. Like, how insane is that we are still in these same conflicts and you could have been born after 9/11 and now be participating in them? That is kind of crazy.
I have about 2 more years to do, to get my retirement from the United States Army. Number 3, I felt like I wanted to serve my nation. I had much more to give. And number 4, and most importantly, I felt like I was physically fit enough, good enough health, to do anything that anybody else could do out there and serve my nation in a productive way.
What if he was like, number 1, my son's in the Army. Number 2, I wanted retirement. Number 3, I'm fit. Number 2, my son's in the Army. He started, I don't know, I'm making old person jokes. That's probably ageist, and I'm probably going to get canceled now. But it's all in good fun. I bet this guy would laugh at that.
That was the decision-making process for me, so here I am. And I spoke to my wife about it.
Army
I busted out laughing.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Both of the kids laughed.
Yeah, but not in a mean type of way. But you know what? I think you don't have to give up when you get older. You keep going.
So I figured.
I wonder if he had to be worried about his neighbor John, when he goes out to boot camp and Jody comes over and he's like, hey, it's John, your neighbor from the AARP. I'd like to tell you about a brand new retirement benefit, this D, while your husband's away at boot camp.
Why not? I think I'm extremely driven. I'm not going to take no for an answer, and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to exhaust every possible avenue to achieve the desired end goal. There were some areas of conflict getting back in. I had to submit packages and hundreds of pieces of paper. After 14 months of going through this process, they said, okay, you can come to the recruitment station. We'll put you back through the physical one final time. That was physical number 4, by the way. During the process of signing the contract and going through the paperwork, they told me, oh, and by the way, there's been a regulation change. You have to go back to basic training. I stopped and looked at them and said, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. I didn't have to go back through basic training the last time. Why would I have to go back through basic training now? They said, well, the regulations changed, so I guess that's it, huh? You're not gonna do the contract. And I thought to myself, I'm 59 years old. I just really do not want to do this. But this is just another obstacle that's been laid before my feet to stop me from doing this, and I'm just gonna do it.
Hell yeah. You know what? This is awesome. This is actually an awesome story. Like, imagine being this guy. I wouldn't go back to boot camp right now. I'm 35 years old. I've actually thought about this before too. Like, could I go back to boot camp right now and tolerate, like, not physically could I go back and do boot camp, but could I tolerate going back through boot camp and being yelled at about the dumbest shit for 10 weeks or whatever again? And I've already done it, you know. He already did it in the Marine Corps. I already did my Navy boot camp. You have to go back through recruit training, which means like day 1, like in processing, all of that stuff again, all of that stuff. And not only that, but then you actually have to like go back and relearn how to march and relearn all your general orders, whatever kind of like administrative stuff they make you, academic stuff they make you learn in the Army. And then you got a guy who's 25 years old, younger than you, or frankly, 25 years old, screaming at you, making you do push-ups and stuff. Like, that is a real mental block. How did this guy make this decision? That's so crazy. Older than every drill instructor for sure.
You get off the bus and there's drill sergeants waiting for you, and then that's where the fun and games begins at that point.
Hurry up, hurry, go!
The
Is that the
drill
shark attack?
sergeants, when they saw me,
Is that the famous shark
were
attack I've
stunned.
been heard for?
It became
Heard about?
comical to me because I knew when a new drill sergeant would see me, they would instantly stop. There was like a moment of hesitation, and they would kind of look at me and then at some point walk up to me and ask me, how old are you? I've never seen anything like this. This is bizarre.
Talk about having a target on your back. Like, in boot camp, in our Navy boot camp, we had a recruit last name Rambo, and that kid had a target on his back the whole time. Drill instructors from other divisions would come up and be like, Rambo, your name's Rambo, let's see how tough you really are, and then PT him for no reason or find something that he was doing wrong. In boot camp, they love finding little individual, traits that people have and then just tearing them apart. Being 60 years old is definitely having a target on your back. So I feel bad for this guy. But not only that, I feel bad for his whole company too, because they were probably getting PT'd. Well, I don't know how hard they would really be on this poor guy, considering he's already been in the military twice. Like, they probably take that into consideration. But it definitely upped the standards for his whole division, his whole boot camp class. whatever the Army calls it. I bet they had a lot of expectations to live up to because they had to show up for and be a good division because they couldn't be getting shown up by this 60-year-old guy.
Going through the training with the younger people, there was a burden on me as well to perform the best I could, to be an example to everyone there. People were really curious about why I was there and would tell me openly that it was really motivational and inspiring to have me there with them. If this 59-year-old old guy can do this, I can certainly do this. I'm not getting any breaks. I'm doing the same thing day in, day out. When they got punished, I was right there doing push-ups with them. Through the training, I won the confidence of the drill sergeants because I was able to do all the physical exercises, to do all the written tests, to do all the practical application tests without any problem whatsoever. I graduated in the top 10% of my class overall, but I was pretty glad to get out of there at that point.
He might have actually outranked some of his drill instructors too, because you know, this guy's coming in as an E6, but there was probably, you know, he was a private in boot camp, I'm sure, like wearing private rank and everything, but there was probably E5 drill instructors who knew that he was an E6, and so that must have been awkward for them. You know, you got to take this guy and put him through the paces in boot camp. Now, I will say there's a giant aspect of maturity in boot camp. Like being young and immature makes boot camp way harder. Going through it when you're older and more mature and have more self-responsibility and self-accountability is going to make the whole process a lot easier. So I will say that probably was on his side, but this is no joke. Like just even the hours that you need to stay awake in boot camp, this poor guy probably needed a nap. How's this guy making it through the day without a nap? Did his division get a nap time? I'm wondering like just how, and you know, the fact that his body is healthy enough to stand up to this stuff, this is good genetics right here. I will say that.
The single hardest thing to overcome in that environment is the age deviation and the way people think. The norms, the culture, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. I was facing the adaptation to that. Other than that, the United States Army did an excellent job of organizing the training, administrating the training, the equipment, everything else leading up to that was stellar. It was much better than when I went through boot camp in 1978. It was excellent.
So that's interesting. He says that boot camp was better. Boot camp was better now than it was in 1978. I wonder what particular aspects of that he's referring to, because I think that's pretty interesting of a thing to say, and I think it's pretty cool as well. But you know, the military is always trying to get better without a push recruits, and deciding what's necessary, what's unnecessary as far as training goes. Like the Army just had this whole big thing with their shark attack. And saying like, what does that really do? How does that really benefit people? And I kind of like that mentality. So I do appreciate that them thinking that way. But this guy seems to have lived up to the expectation. He seems to have been a standard setter. And I bet that was a lot for the recruits to live up to, but also gave him a lot of motivation too.
Fantastic to wear the uniform again and represent my nation and be part of the team. It's great to be back in the organization with my brothers and sisters in uniform, serving our nation, and just being into something bigger than yourself.
Oh, he wanted to move to Vegas. I get it. He wanted to move to Las Vegas and party, and I wonder if this dude loves the dice. This dude loves the dice, I bet. And then I feel bad for his kid. Imagine you're 21 years old, you're in the military, stud, prime of your life. You get stationed in Las Vegas, and your dad shows up to the barracks, and your dad is in the barracks walking around in his jams with his cocoa. That is not the way to do it. That is embarrassing. And he's like wiping the schmutz. Let me get the schmutz off your face. Are you kidding me? That's got to be rough for this kid. I do feel, you know, it's cool. There's a cool factor here for sure of, you know, getting to serve with your dad. There's some of that, but then when you want to go burn it down on a Saturday and, you know, you're getting that look that I got my eyes on you, that is not good. That's not what you want.
My personal mantra is be better. Look for something beyond yourself. Look for things that you can do and challenge yourself to make you a better person.
You know what? No fucking excuses. I think that's what we could take away from that. No excuses. That's how this guy lives his life right there. So I appreciate that. I like that, a lot. I think it's pretty cool that this guy did that. Props to him, props to Staff Sergeant Gould for doing his thing and his son out there. I'm pretty impressed. I wouldn't want to do it. I'll tell you, I would not want to go back to boot camp. 35 years old. I would not want dudes in there, men and women yelling at me because I didn't fold my pants right. When you've already been there, done a bunch of deployments, lived a whole life. It's cool when you're 18. I went to boot camp when I was 18 years old. It's cool when you're 18. It's not cool when you're in your mid-30s, I'll tell you that. Somebody's telling you how to shave and brush your teeth. It'd be tough pill to swallow, I'll say that. So thanks for watching that, guys. I do appreciate it. If you like that kind of content, go ahead and subscribe. We got more stuff like that coming all the time. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button up in the corner here and check out this next video. If you want, in the description down below, there's links where you can get ScuttleButt Show merch and find out how you can support the channel. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you guys very soon.